everyone, and welcome back to Veterans Table Talk. A little bit of Andrew Sisters to get your day started. For anybody just joining us today, this is our second episode of Empowering Voices and bringing you a different perspective. I'd like to introduce Jill Younghusband. She is a 17-year veteran, and I believe in the admin and finance side of things as well, right, Jill?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So she served in many different positions in many different areas. I'll let her get into the details of that. The big one that really caught my attention, of course, was Germany and Geilenkirchen. So can't wait to hear about your adventures in Geilenkirchen. For new listeners, my name is Luann. I'm one of your hosts. I've got 22 years of service in the Canadian Armed Forces in the administrative finance side of things. And we also have, as your host.
Jose. Hi, guys. I'm Jose. I have 13 years in the Canadian Armed Forces, and I was an air control operator. And I'm your co-host.
Perfect. So, Jill, wow, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a privilege. This is fun.
Yeah, it is. So we were saying in our first episode, we don't really have a legion, like really that people can get together outside of their little small communities. So this sort of broadens that whole idea of having a legion where we can share stories with other veterans, especially stories from people who, everybody likes to listen to the combat arms guys and they're all, all their big adventurous stuff. But a lot of us, we hold the line in different ways. And a lot of us in the support trades or that aren't on tour supporting those that do go on tour, we don't have much chance to, put out there what our career has been, what our accomplishments were, what our achievements have been, what our contribution has been. So it's kind of where we're going with this show. And I thought, what better person to, come on and talk to us than Jill, whom we met through a nonprofit veterans organization. She's a huge veterans advocate out there since her retirement. And what I'd really like to start with, Jill, is you're growing up. Like, where did you grow up? What was your childhood like? Sisters, brothers, all of that, sort of background information. So what led you to make the decision to join the military back in, I think you said 1983.
Sure, Luann. Well, I'm a daughter of the military. My father was Army Service Corps. He joined in the 61, I believe, and he got posted to Rivers, Manitoba, where my mother was born and raised. And so they met in Rivers, Manitoba. I have an older brother, an older sister, and a younger brother. And from Rivers, when they disbanded the Army Service Corps, my dad was posted to Edmonton, and he ended up transferring to the admin branch. And from there, we went to Kapuskasing, Ontario, to CFS Lowther, did some time in Ottawa, RSS in Saskatchewan, in Regina, back to Ottawa.
RSS,
Yes.
RSS for our listeners.
Regular support staff, regular service support staff,
right.
With the reserve unit. Yes.
Right.
And so my father worked at the headquarters in Ottawa on and off during his career. And that's where I spent my formative years was in Ottawa.
Okay.
But bouncing around, I went to 13 different schools growing up. And at 17, I was not digging my McDonald's job at $2.15 an hour. And my sister, who's only 10 months older than me, she had joined the reserves in 1982. And when I had suggested maybe I should join the reserves as well, she said, "Do it, Jill. You'll have so much fun." And so I did, and I never worked so hard in my life during basic training in 83.
Yeah.
So my basic training was at CFB Rockcliffe with 28 Ottawa Service Battalion.
Did you just have a girls' a girls' recruiting center, or was
Oh
it
no, it was
mixed?
a reserve unit. It was a mixed course.
Okay.
We had 3 sections in our general military training course. It was at Rockcliffe Base in Ottawa, and I met some fantastic young people. It really brought me out of my shell because growing up, bouncing around to so many different schools, I didn't really make many friends. I was a bit of an outcast,
Yeah.
or a loner more so. Uh,
Right.
and so when I joined the military, it broadened my horizons.
Hmm.
I met some
It's
fantastic people. We had a lot of laughs. We worked hard and played hard. We drove the old
yeah.
deuce and a half. I started off as a mobile support equipment operator or trucker. And
Trucker.
so, so yeah, we did a bunch of training on the Mattawa Plains at the base in Petawawa. Um,
Oh,
and
familiar with that.
yes, yes. So we
Yeah.
we did major troop lifts during militia concentration at the end of each summer. Uh,
Yeah.
it was an experience.
For
And
sure.
then um,
Um, so I
mhm,
just want to come back to your childhood. So that's what a
mhm,
lot of people, and I know Jose, you said that you were a military brat as well, all over the place, posting after posting. And a lot of people, and my son was the same. Like he was a military brat. You guys didn't ask for that lifestyle. It was sort of thrust upon you by your parents. So
mhm,
um, a lot of people don't realize the children of military families really do sacrifice a lot in their life because of the lifestyle and the culture that the military has, and our commitment to making sure that the mission is met. And that requires a lot of sacrifice on the family side, the
mhm.
ones that aren't serving. And I don't think that's recognized enough, to be
Well, I
quite
tell you,
honest.
my mom with 4 kids under the age of 6, she was tough as nails, and my dad was always away on training. I was a we my dad the joke is, my dad was away on training, my mom was home with 2 young kids, uh, and my dad had borrowed train fare to come home for the weekend, and here I am. So, they were financially stressed,
Yeah.
and my dad was away a lot with training, and my mom was home alone with young kids. She was 22
Hmm.
and had 4 children, so
Yeah.
it was really a challenge for them,
Yeah.
and we didn't know any different at the time. Like looking back now,
No.
yes, this family of origin certainly has played a role in my life experience. Um,
Hmm.
you know, lots of lots of moves and lots of heartbreak. Every time we moved, we had to say goodbye to friends. And I remember driving away from Regina, driving back to Ottawa, and I was just so heartbroken. I thought I'll never have any good friends again. And it was really tough. I remember that day so well. It was a hot summer
Mm.
day, big station wagon with 6 people and a Siamese cat and a bunch of luggage, and no air conditioning, driving across Canada.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
said you said he had four kids, so 4 siblings. Are you guys all in the military, or just the two of you?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, my oldest brother went into sales, so he didn't get the military bug, but my younger brother, he was playing with those little plastic army men from as young as I can remember, and he was a cadet. He loved the military. So yes, my sister served for just under 12 years. She did a similar she went reg force from the reserves as I did. And my younger brother, he was reserve with the Governor General's Foot Guards, and then he went into the regular force with the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, and did a full 25 years in the infantry.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it definitely ran in the family.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah.
familiar, and uh,
Right.
and it was interesting when I did my
Exactly.
basic training. I didn't. My sister never told me, "Oh, by the way, you're going to go on the ranges and do firearms training." I had because we didn't
Right?
have that. We didn't have that in our household growing up.
No, well,
And all
neither
of a
did
sudden they
we.
hand me a rifle and I said, "What am I going to
I
do
know.
with it?" And I did
This
it.
is your weapon.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, it's a little
and and at one
it's a
point when I
learning curve.
and just before I went Reg Force, I had gotten my junior leaders course through ceremonial guard or changing of the guard, and so right away they tasked me as a drill instructor for a basic training course that was ongoing with the 28th Service Battalion,
Oh, I
and
would have loved doing that.
I had to teach weapons training with the FNC
Oh,
one, the submachine gun.
oh,
So the rifle, the submachine gun, and we also did uh, grenade throwing at the small arms range in Petawawa.
Wow.
How did I
oh,
get rigged?
I did
How did I
that.
get rigged into this?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
threw grenades in Petawawa. We were
Hmm.
gearing up to go to Bosnia just as Roto Zero was gearing up to go to Afghanistan, and part of our war training was to go in the grenade range. I'd never done it before. You always practice, pull the pin, lob it like a baseball, hit the circle,
Aim for the
pick up your
tire.
pin, aim for the tire. This one girl, she absolutely was petrified. She did not want to go to Afghanistan. She just finished her first trades training. She was young. She was not ready to go. She got on the grenade range. And you know how they have that wall that separates
Mhm.
you from where you're throwing? Yeah, guess who got thrown over the wall because she dropped a grenade
Oh my goodness.
into the pit. He had to grab her and throw her and himself over the wall. It exploded right where she was throwing from. It
Oh,
was on the wrong side. Guess who didn't go to Afghanistan?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't
That's a coach.
happen.
That is a coach's worst nightmare. But they're trained to
Uh,
handle that. Yeah. Hmm.
dear God, like I just,
I
yeah.
had to take a section through the gas huts at Connaught Ranges in Ottawa, and I
Oh,
hadn't gone through the gas huts on my basic training because they weren't available. So
right.
here I was. Let's go troops. I'd never done it.
Yeah. Well,
Good
yeah.
times. Good times.
Well, I mean, that brings back memories of Saint Jean. We had to go, dress up in our full gear. They call it, back then it was top. Now it's mop. I don't know. They change it.
We
They
called it
changed names.
NBCW, the Nuclear
MBCDW and
Biological
then
Chemical
CBRN and
Warfare.
then mop
CBRN
top.
was what I called it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Chemical, biological, radiation, nuclear. Yeah.
Okay.
But the gear we wore, it was top high. So everything was on gas mask, boots, gloves, and we marched 5K like that. Ugh, it was terrible. I couldn't breathe.
What's the point?
Well,
Just to say I
well,
did it.
it's
Yeah,
mental.
it's all about
It's
yeah.
mental.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
little
right.
did they realize I cheated and I was sticking my finger under my sealed mask and trying like getting catches some breaths from under there because I was claustrophobic, man. It was awful.
Yeah, I think the worst that we had done was we had to run around. We had to do PT with our gas masks on, but we had shorts and t-shirts on. But they made us run up and
Oh
down
no,
the
we didn't
hill
do
at
that.
Rockland.
Ugh,
Uh,
no, yeah, fun times, hey ladies.
No.
oh, but I have
No
to say the most fun I had on the ranges was we did some night firing with the FN with the
tracers.
7.62 with the tracer
Yeah,
rounds, and they said,
tracer
"Okay,
rounds. Yeah,
fold down the foresight." And I thought, "Oh my goodness, thank God," because my cheek was swollen from
yeah,
being on the ranges all day and just getting that constant whack in the cheek.
yeah,
So we just fold down the foresight and just pop up, and it was just like something out of Star Wars. The paraflare
yeah,
goes up, everything lights up, and then you get the tracer
yeah,
round. It
yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a
Hmm.
lot of fun until you actually experience that in real life. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
thank
I
God I
did.
didn't.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't fun.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So, okay, so you went through your basic training, then you did your first trades training. Where did that you went to Borden for that,
Nope.
yeah?
Actually, with the
No?
reserves, it was actually in Petawawa.
Oh, you
Um,
did it in Pat. Back
yeah,
then
my
maybe
my
it was
my
different, yeah.
QL3 or what they called TQ1 back then, Trades Qual 1.
Yeah.
So I did my trades training in Petawawa, and then once I went direct entry into the Reg Force, I went to SIFSAL. I went to the administrative school in Borden the summer of
Right.
1990 for
Yeah.
further training my fives, what they call our
Right.
QL5. And
Right.
so, yeah, wonderful summer of 1990. I got to go to the training school. That was fun.
Yeah.
But
And so did you do any tours during your career at all, or
yeah, in 1989, uh, I was attached posted from Ottawa to Calgary to one service battalion, and we did a rotation in Namibia, Africa,
ooh,
with the United Nations.
yes.
The There was an election called in Namibia. They'd been at war with South Africa for 25 years. They were known as Southwest Africa, and so there was a free and fair election in November of 1989, and we were there to provide logistical support. So we were the
Mhm.
89 Canadian Logistics Unit, and we had taken over from 2 Service Battalion out of Petawawa in September of 1989. So we were based out of Windhoek, and we had a few people stationed up north at some supply. A lot of supply techs were deployed from the city to help with and
So Windhoek
truckers to help with
Windhoek
logistics.
Windhoek is what, a city in
It's the
Namibia?
capital city in Namibia.
Okay, I can't even say
Yeah,
Namibia. I can't even say it.
Namibia. Yes, and we stayed.
Namibia. Okay.
And we stayed in a former boarding school in a neighborhood in a quiet neighborhood in the city. So we had our barrack block, or like our rooms. We had our wings. We had a junior ranks mess. We had a kitchen. We had a pool. We had a compound fence. We had security at the gate,
Hmm.
um, and we did our rotations with a quick reaction force. We every week it would rotate,
Hmm.
and so we worked out of
So
a
for our
Mhm,
sorry,
go ahead.
for our listeners, quick reaction force, that just explain a little bit about that.
They're on duty. They're so we're all service support, but we also have security training. And so we'd have 10 people who were tasked every week for 7 days.
Hmm.
Once your workday was finished, you were part of the quick reaction force. So you weren't allowed to leave the compound. You weren't allowed to imbibe at the junior ranks mess with alcohol. You were on duty
Hmm.
24/7, and you were security. In case something happened, you would you would either deploy to uh, a known area, like a muster point, or
Hmm.
you would be perimeter security for the compound where the Canadians were staying.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I
But
just want to clarify
it
some of
was
this.
never dangerous down there.
Pardon me.
Did you ever were you ever scared once you were there or no?
Uh, we were mindful of what neighborhoods we went to because there were shanty towns, and of course, apartheid was still quite the thing back in the 1980s with South Africa. There's racism there for sure. So we were there from September 89 until January 1990. We were supposed to stay until March or April, but everything went so well with the elections that they said, okay, Canada, you can go home now and we'll let the Polish logistics take over. So we came back a
Hmm.
little earlier than planned in the middle of January. So uh, it was a wonderful experience. I was working in the welfare section, and at one point, I was tasked out to type up military police reports with the International Military Police. And I was in charge. I worked with the morale and welfare section, and it seems like that's been my role in many areas of my life, as do a part of service support and morale and welfare in the background.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Right.
So how
Okay,
did
so
you
Yeah.
that
get to
takes
Gallenkirchen?
Oh, that was like winning the lottery.
Yes,
no
for
I
kidding.
sure.
so
Everybody wants to
I
go there.
I
there
know,
were
like I was like, lucky dog.
I know. I don't know. Well, what happened was in 1992. Okay, I'd worked in career management for 4 years in the subsidized university education plans. So regular officer training plan, university training plan for non-commissioned members. We had 2,500 personnel records, and there were three admins.
Yikes.
The
Yikes.
sergeant was on sick leave when I first landed there, and the master corporal was in Cyprus for 6 months. So I was it as a no hook private, 2,500 personnel files. All the officer professional development staff were there, as well as postgraduate training. I was busy. And I was so
No
burnt out by the
kidding.
4 years. Like, and we got into a
Yeah.
groove. Everybody, it was a nose to the grindstone. Everybody, and we had deadlines. Everyone worked very hard in that office. And in 1992, my sergeant went upstairs to speak to the career shop, and of course, I'm sitting at my desk, biting my nails, thinking, Where am I going from here? And he came back down and he said, Her Majesty's Canadian ship Nipigon. And
What?
I said, Pardon? He said, How would you like to be one of the first women on a Navy ship? I said,
Well.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I'd
come
worked
on. You
with a
didn't want to be a
few,
trailblazer?
not with the Navy. You kidding me? Oh, I'd worked with a few Navy fellas in Namibia, some younger ones. Like I know some of the
Yeah.
older fellas from NDHQ. They're all working staff jobs now, and they're funny.
Yeah.
Like I've met some real
Yeah.
characters. But I didn't want to be a trailblazer. I didn't want to be the
But
first
they're
woman
salty.
on an
They're so
HMCS.
salty.
And
Yeah.
so I panicked. I was like, what am I
Yeah.
going to do? Am I going to spend another year working like a dog or go to Halifax? And
Yeah.
so I sat down with my sergeant. I said, I can't. I cannot go to a ship. Please cancel it. Please. I just I don't see that working out for me. I would have
Mhm.
released. I would have quit.
Yeah.
So I asked to go speak to the director of my of director personnel careers officers. He was a full colonel. He was a pilot, Colonel Krall, Krall, I believe his name, Colonel Krall. Real gentleman. Like how I mean he was top shelf. He was an excellent man, real
Yeah.
professional. So I went and I spoke with him because what had happened was I didn't get a cancellation message, but I didn't get a posting instruction. So they hadn't slated me. So everything
Mhm.
was up in the air. And so finally in June of 92, I asked to go speak with the director because nobody was advocating for me because we're all so busy.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I went and I spoke with him and I asked him, you know, is there any way I can stay on here another year? Like, obviously, I'm not going to get posted because it's too late in the year now. And so, what he had suggested was, well, Jill, you need a break. We'll bring you upstairs to the specialist officer's cell and you can work there and have a change of scenery and see what happens with the careers of the officer cadets you've been processing for the last 4 years.
Right.
And we'll see what happens next year. I said, all right, sir, thank you very much. And I'd always put on my PER, on my evaluation report, you have posting preferences, your top three. And I'd always put outside
Yes.
Canada as my first preference. And then out west, I wanted Calgary or Edmonton, but Calgary was closing. And outside Canada, well, Germany and Lahr and Baden are closing in Germany. So good luck with that, Jill.
Yeah.
So I move into the career shop for specialist officers, and it was a nice shift in pace. It wasn't as stressful,
Yeah.
and so I went through that final year in NDHQ, and then all of a sudden I was offered guidance. Somebody came down the hall, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was the master corporal in my cell. He said, "Jill, would you like to go to Geilenkirchen?" And I said, "Yes, yes, yes."
Yes.
Bingo.
And oh, I'm telling you, the excitement for the next 4 months, I must have driven my colleagues crazy with excitement. I'm going to Germany. I'm going to Germany. And they've all been there, with career management
Right.
interviews and so on. And some of them were posted in Germany. So that, oh, Jill, you're going to have such a wonderful time. I think I had 3 or 4 going away parties.
Oh my God.
So were
And
you
it's
there
quite
for
the
4 years?
Pardon me?
Were you there for the 4 years?
Yeah, from 93 to 97.
Wow.
Initially, it was
wow.
3 years, and then they extended it to 4 because of the costs of moving us
Sweet.
overseas, and
And
and the fact that
it's quite a process to get ready to go outside Canada too. And like a lot of people don't realize the work it takes the paperwork and the hoops and the
Moving
just,
your furniture and
Furniture and your vehicle
kids,
has to be
if you
inspected.
have
Your
kids,
oh yeah.
education for the kids,
Mm-hmm.
dogs, cats, pets,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything that you have to do, medical, social worker, dental, you have to pass all of that. They have to make sure that you're not going to be a problem when you're gone. They have to clear you, especially on the social worker side.
Yeah, the
Uh,
screening. I remember the screening.
yeah.
screening, yeah,
Pre-screening
intense.
admin. And then once I got to Germany, they had the Canadian Forces Support Unit had just been formed. It moved from LAR, so a few
Right,
people from LAR came up to Geilenkirchen, and we had the Canadian Forces Support Unit, and they were ready for us. We had someone to help us. I had a sponsor who took me around looking at places to possibly rent, and I did find a lovely apartment 20 minutes
mhm,
from the base. I was living in an old town hall in a town called Randerath. My landlords
okay,
lived on the main floor, and I was on the second floor, and I had, I think, 4,000 square feet and
yeah,
10-foot high ceilings. I
Wow.
had a
sweet.
beautiful garden in the back that the landlords had taken care of, and I just showed up with
Wow.
my barbecue and my furniture and my cat,
You're
and
good to
we had,
go.
yeah, we had so much fun. It was,
Yeah,
and my land I went back to Germany in 2017 for a holiday, and also to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Vimy Ridge. So I went to Germany, and my landlords were still there in the same house. It was so wonderful to see them again.
was that 2017 or 2007?
2017 would have been the 100th. I was there at the
Okay, I was at
2007 for the 90th as well, for the rededication
okay,
of the
so
monument.
I was there too. I flew the Nijmegen team over.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Yeah, I went over on
so
my own in '07, and then again in
yeah,
2017 I went. And my sister,
yeah,
who is living in Australia, she met me in Amsterdam, and then we picked up from
yeah,
there, rented a vehicle, and traveled around. And she got to
yeah.
meet my landlords because she didn't visit me in Germany when I was posted there. She was busy starting a life in Australia. So mhm.
Oh wow.
So how
Yeah,
many
so I
years
went
have you
to
been retired?
I have been retired from the military since 2000, and I have been retired from the workforce since 2017. Yeah, and that's when my advocacy work. Okay,
Corporal for life.
corporal for life. So one of the benefits of not being promoted was that there were two corporal administrative positions in Geilenkirchen working with the international NATO uh,
yes,
side of the base.
yes. Yep.
I got one of them. It was like winning the Canadian Forces lottery, corporal admin.
It is.
Had I
It
been a
is.
master corporal admin, I would not have been posted to Germany.
One position for master corporals.
But the summer
That's
that
all
I
there
was
is.
there, that was
Yeah.
just two corporal admin for the NATO side. I
Okay.
went to Squadron 2, which was a
Yeah.
Canadian squadron, and my now
Mhm.
and what turned out to be my soul sister, my friend Tara,
Mhm.
she was with Squadron 1, which had a commanding officer was American. I was with the squadron that
Okay.
had a commanding officer that was Canadian, and then the third
Mhm.
squadron was the German squadron. And so, but
Okay.
it was still a multinational crew. But
Yep.
we deployed we monitored the no-fly zone over Bosnia and Serbia back in those
Okay.
days. That's when
Yes.
Rwanda happened,
Yes.
and
Yep.
Somalia, the stuff going on in
Yes.
Somalia with Black Hawk Down, that type
Yeah.
of
Dark
thing,
the dark
that
days
era.
of the military. Yeah, the
And
dark days
so,
of the military, I call that.
we would deploy to forward operating bases. One was in Sicily, Greece, and
Yep.
Turkey. So we would deploy for
Yep.
2 weeks at a time, and I would go
Okay.
with the mission crew, and I would just provide administrative support and
Mhm.
work out of the ops headquarters at the base, at the forward operating bases. And
Mhm.
I got to go to Seville, Spain for a training exercise for 10 days. I got to go to
Mhm.
Norway, to England, to Denmark. I mean, how privileged was I to,
Right.
I mean, what an opportunity as a corporal admin.
Mhm.
And I was treated with so much respect by the crews. when I was working in Germany. We were all really good team players, really,
Mhm.
and it's wonder. Thank God for Facebook. I'm still connected with some of the people I served with in Germany, and they're all over the world
Nice.
now. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So
So
I
from
was.
there you've yeah, so from there you've moved on, you finished your career. What
Mhm.
led you to release? Was it a personal? Was it
It was
medical?
medical. It was a medical
Okay,
release. Mhm.
so it wasn't something you necessarily wanted to do. It had to be done,
You know,
like getting out.
yes, and yes, I did not meet universality of service. That was the statement
Yeah.
on my message because I couldn't
Hmm.
do the fireman's carry because of a back
Hmm.
and neck injury.
Yeah.
So, uh, it was a very unsettling time because I didn't know anything else but my
Right.
service in the military. I was posted to the PPCLI, the infantry. I went from real world operations to a first line field unit, and it was a real shift in culture. I mean, I'd
Yes.
worked with the Army before in the reserves, but it was
Hmm.
different than the Reg Force.
Yeah.
And
Oh yes.
so, um,
Yeah.
it was a little bit of it was a toxic environment for me. I was working in vehicle maintenance, breathing in fumes all day, diesel fumes,
Yep. Yep.
and dealing with a mentality that wasn't very welcoming.
No.
However, that being said, I did meet some of the most dedicated, well trained soldiers the Canadian Forces has ever known.
Hmm.
And they're
Hmm.
the quiet ones.
Right.
So I met some real professional soldiers who really believed in what they were doing, and were committed to service to this country. And so, again,
Yeah.
I try to take the good with the bad. I try to look for some the
Yes.
positives. Yeah, it
Hmm.
was a challenge. It was a challenge because
Well, I mean,
I
you
always
were.
felt I had meaning in the work I was doing. And
Hmm.
when I went to the PPCLI in the control office, there was not enough work really to keep me busy, and it didn't feel
Hmm.
it wasn't fulfilling for me.
Right. And let's
Yeah.
face it, back when you served, you were still, even though you didn't be one of the first women on a ship, you were still trailblazing for women in the forces.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, I could not imagine having children and being in the military full time as a woman. The burnout mode.
Welcome. Welcome
I
to
don't know how
us.
you do it.
I
I do not know how you
I
do it.
did
And
I swear I look back now and I say I don't know how I was ever a soldier and a mother at the same time.
no,
I
it's
don't know
the
how I did it.
I cannot imagine. Uh, in many cases, you have to choose one or the other. And
Yes.
my girlfriend Tara, my best friend, she has, you know, she went to Afghanistan and left two little babies back home with her husband, and
Mm.
she went on the first rotation with Third Battalion PPCLI, um, and it affected her. I mean, the
Yes.
moral injury of she wanted she's serving her country, service before self, but she left her babies to go to
Yeah.
Afghanistan, and she was put in harm's way.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I've watched her struggle over
Oh
the
yes.
years, and she's paid the
I can
price for it.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after your release now, we're going to so you've become a huge um advocate for veterans in several, if my memory serves from our discussions, several different nonprofit organizations throughout the years.
Hmm.
Um, and your most current one is the one that interests me. Now, you have worked for Quilts of Valor, correct?
Quilts of Valor Canada, as
Right.
well as Mefloquine Awareness Canada, because we do have a mass tort lawsuit with
Yes.
military personnel who were poisoned by the anti-malarial drug mefloquine. So
Yes.
that
Yeah.
I helped with that campaign.
Yes.
Is
Uh,
that going anywheres?
oh yes, they're having their annual mefloquine rally on the 18th of September. It's going to be the main one is in Saskatoon. I believe they're having one in Kingston as well. Um,
Yeah, I think Mike Rude from the Rude
mhm.
Awakening is going to be spearheading one of those.
Yeah, that's how I met Mike was through the Rude Awakening tour, and this is his mug that he gave
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I met him
He's
too. He's such a kind guy.
he's
yeah,
Yeah.
the best. I love Mike.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Love him.
And I got to see him
And it's
at the
and
Cenotaph in
Spark,
June. Yeah, Spark.
right?
Yeah.
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 Anyways,
So
so mefloquine, and of course, as soon as I heard about mefloquine, I had to run and check because I think I had some pills left from my Africa
mhm,
stint. I
mhm,
had to run and check and make sure that I wasn't taking mefloquine because I remember they offered me the once a week pill,
right.
and I
Well,
didn't get that.
Wasn't it a shot though?
no, it's a
No, it's a
pill.
pill. It's a
Hmm.
so I was on Malarone, not mefloquine.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah,
I took chloroquine, which is similar to
chloroquine.
mefloquine, but not as neurotoxic. But
It's the quinine.
it did mess with a lot of people's guts when I was in Namibia.
Yes.
We took a
Yep.
weekly chloroquine pill, and we also took daily doxycycline.
Shit.
And I was
Okay.
never the same since. And I also got all my I didn't have the only vaccine I ever had growing up was a tetanus shot after I got bitten by a dog.
Right.
And then I did the pre-screening for deployment, and I didn't have a yellow vaccine booklet because I went from the reserves to the reg force. I just transferred, and so they
Yeah.
didn't have a file on me for my vaccine record. So I got a bunch of shots in a short period of time,
Yeah.
and I believe it's played a role in my health detrimentally, sadly.
Hmm.
That and stress, chronic stress
Yes.
of
Yeah.
workload
Yeah.
and stress with
That's
the
right.
personnel and such.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
there's a lot of us that went in basic. We had to, because we couldn't provide immunization status. There was a lot of us that were jabbed like pin cushions, man.
oh,
Yeah.
We were
and
pin cushions.
some people are okay with it, but some people are
Yeah,
sensitive
and
to it.
some people,
Everybody's different, and
that's right. Yeah,
sadly, I didn't react well to it, and I've had
yeah.
problems since I was in my early 20s. 30
Oh,
years
that's
now.
too
I've
bad.
been
Yeah,
working on my health. Yes,
yeah.
it's
So you went from mefloquine awareness, advocacy, and now you're with veterans. You'll have to remind me,
the
veterans,
Veterans
the food bank.
Association Food Bank. They've rebranded to Veterans Association, but the charity title, it is a registered charity here in Canada, the Veterans Association Food Bank.
Right,
The headquarters is out of Calgary. They were formed in 2018 by Marie Blackburn, who at that time was working with the Legion Poppy Fund Food Bank, or the Legion Food Bank. They had closed the
right.
doors. They just locked the doors one day. So she
Just shut
said,
down.
yeah. So she said, well, and she knew there was still a need out there. She knew who the clients were. So she said, I'll just start my own Veteran Association food bank. And she did. And it had charitable status within a year because it is a uh, first line. It's a needed service,
Right,
and so or vital service. So uh, after 3 years, I think, yeah, 2018. So it's been going for 4 years now. She's had great success in Calgary. They've got a thrift store. They have serviced, they have supported over 750 families over the last 4 years. And they opened an Edmonton location in the fall of 2020, right in the middle of COVID, right in the middle of lockdowns. So we've got
wow.
an Edmonton branch here, which I'm working with in marketing and sales. So we're working on getting corporate sponsorships. We're working at developing a relationship with the Edmonton Garrison to see if they can support us through the Government of Canada Charitable Workplace Campaign, which used to be the
Hmm.
United Way campaign.
Right,
We serve it. They support 100 families a month here in Edmonton. We're from Red Deer North, and then
right.
Calgary takes from Red Deer south.
So
We
do you guys
support
only do military families or is it any families?
veterans and RCMP.
Wow, that like
And sometimes
completely
currently
shocked.
serving military because sometimes they just can't make it to the next paycheck. We've had currently serving military come through our doors as well.
I see. That makes me sad.
And each food hamper is approximately $500, and we prepare 100 per month. So that's $50,000 worth of food going out every month to needy veteran families.
My
So my
goodness.
role has I've been offered an opportunity to get out there and meet people in the community, corporate sponsors, and also um, other uh, local community partners. Like
Right.
yesterday
Yeah.
or on the weekend, I went down to the Edmonton downtown farmers market. They gave me a table right front and center of their food court, and I got to meet some local politicians who are going to connect me with the West Edmonton Business Association, or oh, do you know this
Hmm.
person who writes grant proposals? So people are wanting to help us move
Good.
forward in
Good.
networking and funding. So that's and so we're working on a food drive for this fall because we're coming into
Hmm.
Remembrance, the 11 days of Remembrance in November. So
Hmm.
we're going to be approaching schools. We need food. There's food shortages on our shelves,
Hmm.
and we need food to pack the hampers.
Like
So
that
that's the
completely
focus.
shocked me when we did their pre-interview and you told me that there was even an organization about veterans like food. I like
Hmm.
it was shocking to me. I can't believe this is where we're at. And like you
Hmm.
said, there's even some serving families that are struggling. Like
Hmm.
people think that military people are rich and we live this glamorous life. Well, like
Hmm.
this is reality. Like
Right.
people need to realize that
Hmm.
people are struggling.
And not only are we a food bank, we provide services to veterans to access Veterans Affairs benefits, helping them apply for any injury awards that they may have. We're getting them into the vocational rehabilitation program with Veterans Affairs. We also have a new service um, where there is a lawyer here in town who will help our veterans prepare wills and personal directives. We also
Hmm.
help with filing tax returns because some of these veterans are seniors. And if they have a summary of assessment, that gives them an entry into provincial services, but it has to be an up to date summary of assessment. They have to show what their income is to see what benefits and what programs that they're
Hmm.
eligible for. We also have a
My goodness.
pet promise program. We help not just service animals but pets in general because we know that some of these animals are their lifeline, and so if they need veterinary services and pet food, we provide that to
Nice.
veterans as well as programs. For example, I found out through a veteran advocate, Bruno Gouvernement, about transcendental meditation training that's offered through Veterans Affairs for veterans and their families or caregivers. So I took this training provided by Veterans Affairs through a coach here in Edmonton. So that's a resource that we can share with our veteran clientele at the food bank. We offer peer support coffee every second Tuesday. So tomorrow I'll be there meeting with our veteran family. And I've had a few reunions. I've met people I haven't seen in 20 years from the
Oh, that's
PPCLI
great.
that came
Yeah.
through the doors for a coffee. So, and we have
So,
Quilts of Valor sew days at our food bank. So we're
nice.
always looking at ways to how can we fundraise, how can we get our name out there, how can we let people know we're here, and
Right.
Do
how
you
can we
guys have
reach.
a website or something
Oh
that people can
yes,
go and
yes.
look?
It is just a minute. I had it open here just a minute ago. I'll share. I'll get the website to you. I believe it's Veteran Association Foodbank.ca, but I cannot say for sure. I'll give you the websites that maybe you can post
Yeah,
the links with the
for sure.
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we'll make sure that they're posted for anybody who wants to explore that any further.
Right. Because we want to reach veterans who are in need as
Right.
well. They don't know we're
Right.
here for them.
That's right.
And it was through a veteran at a rally on Parliament Hill that I found out about benefits that I didn't realize were there, and I applied for them, and thank God I did because I wouldn't be here with you guys and doing the work I'm doing without that those benefits.
Right.
So it was
Right.
through another veteran that I got support,
Nice.
and I'm so
Good.
grateful. It was all word of mouth.
So are
And
you
And that's
expanding outside? Are you expanding outside the Alberta area? Like, is this across Canada or is this just strictly in Alberta right now?
well, for the food hampers themselves, it's local to our area. We go as far north as Fort McMurray or Cold Lake, perhaps. Um,
Okay.
but we support veterans across Canada in the form of a gift card for food for groceries. Or
Oh, wow.
if there's a service member who is in need of certain health supports, sometimes the food bank will will provide funding for that veteran on a case by case basis. And I've
Okay.
been able to reach out to Marie in past years saying, I've got a veteran in Toronto who needs support. Could you help him out with say some supplements or something like that he needed,
Hmm.
but aren't covered under Ontario Health? Well, sure, if he purchases them, we can reimburse him.
Well,
And they've
Wow,
done
bless
that.
your
that's
heart
amazing.
for doing this. Thank you so
No
much.
kidding.
Well, these are my
That
people.
is,
You guys are my family. This is if I can find a solution, that's what I like to provide, valuable service and heartfelt service because I've been there. I've been in chronic pain. I know what it's like. Being sick is expensive.
Hmm.
it is.
And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for my support from Veterans Affairs now. It's still ongoing. Still got a couple of reviews in, and it seems like it's been going on forever, but I have what I need right now to to do the advocacy work that I do. And I pace myself. I don't work full time, but I do what I can in little fits and starts.
Little spits and spurts.
Yeah.
Well, Jill, I think we'll wrap it up for today. We'll make
Mhm.
sure that Quilts of Valor, Veterans Association Food Bank websites are put up for people to explore
Oh, and
and
one
have a
more
look
thing,
at.
The Canadian
Yes?
Walk for Veterans. The
Oh,
Canadian Walk
okay.
for
Yeah.
Veterans, it's going to be held the weekend of the 24th, 25, 24th, 25th of September.
Okay.
Across the country, yeah, 24, 25 September across the country. You can do it virtually, or there are some locations in major cities like Edmonton, Ottawa,
Okay.
Victoria. The Canadian Walk for Veterans. That was the first real advocacy organization that I started with in 2018 through the
Wow.
Equitas Society. And so
We're making
I've
me,
met some amazing veterans, and that's one thing,
yeah,
if you get involved, you're going to meet some extraordinary people, such as you
right.
two that I've met, and now with Veterans for Freedom, um, I have a full life just doing this
Yeah.
work for my veteran family, and I feel
Yes.
it's an obligation for me, and I
Yeah.
get this is the value that my parents instilled in me. We have a wonderful
Right.
country, Canada, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing because I want to uh, to fight for our culture and our rights and freedoms, and I want to support our wounded veterans in any way,
Yes.
shape, or form, and
Exactly.
it's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
So I encourage
Well, we
anyone
thank you for your
who hears this.
service.
Thank you,
We
thank you.
thank
It
you
was a
for your
privilege.
service before, during, and after. As
Mhm.
a military child, the sacrifices that you made from that period through to your service for our country and now your service to our veterans, from the
Mhm.
bottom of my heart, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I second that.
Mhm. It's a privilege.
So
Thank you.
we'll end today's podcast on that uplifting note. And we'll talk to everybody next time. We're going to head back outside the wire. Have a great day.
Have a great day.